After 4 years in development, a successful crowdfunding campaign, multiple delays, and the developer being acquired by Microsoft, Wasteland 3 is nearly here. It releases on August 28th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, along with Xbox Game Pass, and will offer a much more expansive experience than its predecessors. Story. Taking place 100 years after the world suffered nuclear devastation, Wasteland 3 once again sees you playing as a desert ranger. This time, however, you're starting from scratch as the lone survivor of Team November. Thus do you venture out into the wasteland once more, braving harsh conditions and psychopaths. Character creation. Creating one's character is an extensive task, and Wasteland 3 offers a strong amount of customization for all of your squad members. You can tinker with their cosmetics, faces, physiques, portraits, and whatnot, along with choosing from dozens of different skills, perks, backgrounds, and quirks. Essentially, this is your squad, and you'll have plenty of freedom when it comes to outfitting them. Character duos. Of course, if all of this is just too overwhelming for you, there are character duos. These are two pre-made characters which have their own backstory and responses, not unlike Divinity Original Sin. It's a good way to hop into the action immediately and familiarize yourself with how certain backgrounds, skills, and perks will work throughout the story. World map and hubs. There are two major hubs that define the world, Colorado Springs and the Ranger Base, the latter serving as a location to recruit new squad members, along with being a key spot for quests and events. However, Colorado as a whole will be much larger than Arizona from Wasteland 2. Brian Fargo promises that players will experience new events and enemies all the way to the end, while giving players the freedom to take on new challenges earlier than they should. Multiple factions. Throughout one's journey in post-apocalyptic Colorado, you'll encounter a number of different factions, each with their own ideologies and motives. The 100 families are descended from the survivalist families and are all about rebuilding the nation. The Marshals, on the other hand, are the law in Colorado Springs. Then there's the Monster Army, which used to rule Colorado before being driven to the off-kilter area of Bizarre. Depending on who you work with and the choices made, the story can change significantly. Choices and consequences. In fact, the impact of certain choices may only manifest 10 to 20 hours into the game. In Exile founder Brian Fargo told GameSpot that true consequence, meaningful consequence, is what makes these worlds super immersive, and that the team leaned into these long-term decisions. There are hundreds of different options available. Taking down a random quest NPC could result in an entire quest line being closed, as one example. Wasteland 3's writing team are going for a far deeper game in the way it pays off player choice, as per Fargo. Also, while new players can jump into the game without having played previous titles, veteran players can expect some familiar faces and Easter eggs. As Fargo notes, there's a lot of inside humor. There are things that only you would get. There are some parts that will feel more meaningful. Fully voiced dialogue. In Exile Entertainment was acquired by Microsoft in 2018, and this provided more time and resources along with more testing to polish Wasteland 3. In fact, these resources helped in implementing fully voiced dialogue, which is no easy task in a production like this. We'll judge the quality of the voice acting at launch for ourselves, but as Brian Fargo noted in a previous interview with Gaming Bolt, more resources and more time are the sweetest words any developer can hear. Combat. Combat is once again turn-based and isometric. Command up to 6 squad members and take cover, use AP points to move and attack, and so on and so forth to win. Some of the new additions include environmental hazards, like exploding barrels that can be targeted to damage nearby foes, and a first-person mode for targeting specific body parts. Squad members draw on the same ammo pool, necessitating the need for different weapon types, and you leverage new team abilities to buff the squad or debuff foes. The down but not out system hasn't been detailed, but it allows for squad members to defy death and fight another day. Co-op campaign. New to the series is co-op. 2 players can run through the entire campaign, each having their own squad. While they can quest together, things get more interesting if they split up, since choices made by one player can impact the other, like betraying a previous arrangement that the other player had made, for example. This applies even if someone is offline. Co-op supports drop-in, drop-out gameplay with one player capable of continuing the campaign, though there are certain points that will require both. A friend has stopped playing entirely, turn the campaign to a solo affair and continue playing on your own, hurt feelings be damned. Vehicles. Another major new addition to the core gameplay loop are vehicles. You can explore the world in the Kodiak and upgrade it with new parts, customizing it to your needs. During combat, its weapon can be unleashed on foes and squad members can also use it for cover. Perhaps the best use of this pseudo-mobile base is storing items and equipment, ensuring that nothing is left behind. Total playtime. In terms of how long Wasteland 3 will be, game director Tim Campbell told WCCF Tech that the team is aiming for 50 hours. However, he made sure to clarify that it's horribly tough to estimate due to the different choices, approaches, and so on. It all depends on one's playstyle, but if you're expecting Wasteland 3 to be as large as the second game, Campbell thinks it will wind up being longer. Be prepared for the long haul either way. 10 major ending points. Multiple endings in a game like Wasteland 3 shouldn't be surprising, but as lead level designer Jeremy Kopman told PC Games In, there are at least 10 major ending points. In addition to this, many of your choices can result in smaller changes for an ending, especially when it comes to the impressions of different factions. How will that manifest remains to be seen, but even if the different changes end up being superficial, 10 ending points is another good incentive to replay the game. Xbox One X and PS4 Pro features. Wasteland 3 will support the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro in some way. inXile hasn't revealed how and whether or not we can expect 4K resolution and or 60 FPS support, but there will be some advantage to playing on upgraded consoles. Expect more details before launch. Post-launch DLC. Post-launch DLC is currently planned for the game, though again, in what shape and form is unknown. Wasteland 2 received a director's cut after launch, which added new game features, a revamped UI and encounters, new perks and whatnot, so perhaps inXile will take the same approach with Wasteland 3. As always, however, time will tell.
And that wraps it up. If you like what we are doing, please consider subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to switch on the bell notification icon. That way you will never miss out on any of our videos.